Michael's Power Supply Company. This is my design of my power supply. I have 120 volts going in right here, and then on the outside I have 12 volts. This is a full wave bridge rectifier, and it contains 1 N4001 diodes, and this is just kind of your typical design for a full wave bridge rectifier. And then in here I also added in a regulator so that it would make sure that no matter what, I would have 12 volts coming out. And for my materials and costs, a transformer will cost about $12.79 per unit. And then you also have a 1200 microfarad capacitor, which is $5.70. It comes in a pack of like 10. A case, that's going to be one of your most expensive parts along with the transformer. It costs about $14. Diodes are about 44 cents a piece, but you can get like 100 pack for $6. A linear regulator, which is what regulates what voltage you want out, will cost about $1.70. And resistors, they'll cost about $1.90 a piece, but you can also get an assortment of resistors ranging from a 1 ohm resistor to like 25 mega ohm resistors, and that can cost you $20-$30. And each pack of one of those, like they're individual packs, and they come with about 5 or 6 resistors in them as well. Additional costs are like my labor cost, which is $23 per hour. It's a pretty high cost, but you need somebody who has been like in the field and has some experience in it, so that when putting together this power supply, so that it works properly every time. Also, recurring costs are like parts, rent, labor, and total of that would be roughly $41,890. It's not exact because it depends on whether or not I'm making more or less. It just depends on how many people I have working for me, and how many I'm actually making every year. And some non-recurring costs are like my soldering stations and workbenches. The workbench is the most expensive part out of this. It costs about $410 per station, so that it has adequate room and workspace for each person who's working on these power supplies. And the soldering kits, which are just basically a soldering iron and some solder, they cost about $20 per. And then the overhead will be like the parts and stuff like that, and it can vary as well, due to the fact that each month or year or whatever, I may need to order less parts. I may need to order more. It just kind of depends on where I'm standing at when I'm working, or when the company, how the company is running at the time. And then we have a break-even point. I figure that I can make around 100,000 power supplies within a year. This would be with around 200 workers. And when calculating the break-even point, it came out to be around 91 power supplies a day, which is pretty reasonable. They take a little while to make, due to the fact that not necessarily to put together, but when soldering it to the board, it can be pretty tricky. But after a certain amount of time, it'll get better and be quicker, and we could be ahead of schedule. It's a pretty reasonable, like I said, it's a pretty reasonable power supply to make. The soldering is going to be the hardest part, and basically that's my power supply with my company. So thank you for listening.